You don't want to get caught. You better get rid of that smile.
Hey.
Hi. I'm surprised Richard put us together. It's no secret how you feel about me.
Sonia, it's been forever. And you're my doctor today?
Did he do something to you? Did he hurt you? Why would you risk yourself like this?
Doc, all new, next Tuesday on Fox.
Are you feeling lucky? Don't miss the Masked Singer Lucky Season 13 premiere tomorrow on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
A budget battle is shaping up in the legislature. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Dagnall.
And I'm Beth Jones. Democrats advanced a supplemental budget today despite Republican opposition. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard starts us off tonight.
We're not going to be passing a two-thirds budget today. I just want to get that out on the record.
Senate Republican leader Trey Stewart is talking about the governor's supplemental budget, which passed the Appropriations Committee last week with unanimous support of those present, despite two members being absent who had already voiced their opposition. Democrats say they negotiated in good faith despite Republicans crying foul.
The first time in many years, we are taking up a supplemental budget that is a true emergency. A bill that if we fail to pass in a manner that allows it to go into effect immediately, will have dire impacts on the health and well-being of Maine people, a devastating impact on our healthcare economy and our rural economy, and basically disrupt the basic functioning of our government.
The supplemental budget includes two areas of funding, one to help with the extermination of spruce budworm, a parasite that affects trees and would impact the Maine logging industry, as well as a MaineCare funding gap that would force DHHS to stop payments to medical and long-term care facilities.
Huge implications. About 2/3 of nursing home residents are covered by MaineCare, so if this budget does not pass and there's a MaineCare shortfall, our provider rates might be cut, and that will cause big problems for them being able to stay open.
Republicans say the reason for the budget shortfalls rests completely with the Democrats, who they say for the past two legislatures have failed to compromise with Republicans and instead passed majority budgets along party lines.
Maine Democrats passed majority budgets that overspent and didn't prioritize properly, and now we are out of money. Not only that, we're going into the next biennial budget with a $500 million shortfall, and this money that now has to be prioritized for hospitals could go towards filling that shortfall, i.e. overspending, but instead it is being used as a bailout.
After nearly 9 hours of discussion and debate, Democrats voted along party lines to advance the supplemental budget. A final vote on the budget will take place when the legislature reconvenes on February 25th. At the State House, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Supporters of a bill that would help fund family planning services gathered at the State House today. They held signs and handed lawmakers letters urging them to pass LD 143. The bill proposes $6.18 million in funding for the network that includes 61 service sites, telehealth services, and a mobile unit. According to a statement from Maine Family Planning, 70% of patients who visited these providers in fiscal year 2023 qualified for free or reduced cost care. The statement says their services include a variety of things, including testing and treatment for sexually transmitted infections, birth control, cancer screenings, vaccination, gender-affirming care, and behavioral health services. LD 143 does not include funding for abortion care.
Well, Maine DHHS and the Maine Child Welfare Action Network have released a plan aimed at promoting the safety and well-being of children. Governor Mills announced in 2023 that the two groups would work together to develop the 5-year plan. She said children and families often end up interacting with Maine's Child Welfare Agency long after the needed supports could or should have been accessed. The Maine Child Safety and Well-Being Plan builds on the initial goals of increased legislative investments in family support services and strengthening community collaboration to expand local support networks.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Monday directed the U.S. Army to change the name of Fort Liberty back to Fort Bragg, but this time with a twist. Fort Bragg, located in North Carolina, was originally named after Confederate General Braxton Bragg. That name was changed to Fort Liberty during the Biden administration after a law was passed banning bases from being named after Confederates. Hegseth signed the memo on an Air Force plane over Stuttgart, Germany, renaming the base after Roland Bragg, a Mainer, paratrooper, and decorated World War II veteran.
Pursuant to the authority of the Secretary of Defense, Title 10, United States Code, Section 113, I direct the Army to change the name of Fort Liberty, North Carolina to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's right, Bragg is back.
Roland Bragg was born in Sebattis in 1923 and stationed at Fort Bragg with the 18th Airborne Corps before being deployed to Europe for World War II. He received the Silver Star and Purple Heart for his actions during the Battle of the Bulge, where Bragg saved another soldier's life by stealing a Nazi ambulance and transporting his wounded comrade to an Allied hospital in Belgium.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hit pause here. We'll peek outside and see if there are more frigid overnights on the way with the first check of our forecast.
Thank you, Beth. As you can see, we had a few snow showers out there for today. We did see them south of Presque Isle, into the Bangor region as well. They stretched all the way to the western portion of the state, but we did not see that very big snowfall out there. It was only a little bit of flurries here in Bangor with the heaviest snow just south of Presque Isle for today. All right, so out there for highs, we did hit 30 degrees here in Bangor, 31 for Bar Harbor, 30 in Rockland, lots of low to mid 30s in that southwestern portion of the state. And we did see those cooler temperatures up north in the upper teens and low to mid 20s. So for winds, we are going to see a lot better day for tomorrow. It's going to be pretty calm out there. Only gust up to right around 7 to 9 miles per hour, but there will be more wind on the way Wednesday night into Thursday. So as we see for tonight, temperatures are going to be cold out there once again. We're expecting our temperatures tonight to be 6 degrees below zero. Beth?
Chase, thank you so much. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Grace Blanchard was in Brewer to highlight how one local organization is giving back to the community.
And the Bangor Regional YMCA recently received a large monetary donation from the Hollywood Casino. We'll have those stories and more local news when we return.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Hi, I'm Tony Hafford from TC Hafford Basement Systems, the all things basement-y company. Basement waterproofing, basement structural repair, humidity and mold control, and nasty crawl spaces too. Since 1991, over 15,000 Maine homeowners have trusted TC Hafford Basement Systems to fix their basements. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basement-y.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
You come alive in the dead of winter and start work early on snow days, because snowed in is not an option. The Kubota Snow lineup of compact tractors, RTVs, and versatile attachments are built to move, plow, blow, and thrive in the winter. So when the snow falls, you could rise to meet it. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 84 months, plus save up to $300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
Hard time breathing.
Try putting your arms above
your head. Up, Robin. The Masked Singer, Lucky Season 13, February 12th on Fox.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
On Good Morning Maine, we start each day with a fresh look at what's happening and what's to come.
All the information you need, fast and to the point.
All while having a little fun, too.
We want to set you up for your best day ahead.
And you get a great start to your day by watching Good Morning Maine.
Officials from Goodwill are reminding people not to donate any kind of weaponry to their stores. That reminder comes after a grenade was found at the Augusta location today. The store was evacuated after the grenade was found in a box among other items. It was not part of a threat, and officials don't believe it was delivered with any bad intentions. A representative for Goodwill says this isn't the first time weapons have come through their stores, but stresses that they should not be donated.
It is oddly common that this has happened before. Many people across New England have antiques in their homes. Some people might not even realize that it's an antique weapon.
Well, she says Goodwill has a list of accepted items that you are welcome to donate, and you can find that list on their website. When they get items they can't sell, like weapons or trash, they have to take time to get rid of them correctly, and that takes away from the money they are able to put towards their various programs.
Well, after a series of fundraising events this past year, the Greater Bangor Association of Realtors donated thousands of dollars today to several charitable organizations in the Bangor community. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
For the Greater Bangor Association of Realtors, a part of their mission is giving back to the community they serve.
This is truly like our favorite day of membership meeting. We love seeing these people. We love hearing the stories. We love talking to them, and we really love giving them money.
In their latest gathering, the organization announced they were donating over 30 grand to multiple nonprofits.
Some of them are funds that we have raised as the Greater Bangor Association of Realtors, and then they were also matched by the Maine Association of Realtors Foundation, and so we were able to give quite a bit of money away today.
The donations are going to 3 local organizations that each support the community in their own unique way, including Penquis, the Elizabeth Levinson Center, and OHI, which supports those in the community with intellectual disabilities and mental health issues.
We know we do important work. It's very nice that other people recognize the important work that we do, and to the point where they're willing to donate their money to support that.
Penquis plans to use their more than $8,000 check to support their Good Neighbor Fund, which helps folks with fuel assistance who are over the income guidelines.
It's huge, huge. That $8,000 will probably help around 45 households. So that's a lot, and it's great. We can't thank these folks enough.
Without support from the community, the recipients say their work would not be possible.
The more people can learn about these nonprofits and their needs, it's huge, and having people in the community being willing to support and help is just, I don't even have words, really.
In Brewer, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Bangor Region YMCA got a big boost for its capital campaign earlier today. Hollywood Casino presented them with a check for $100,000. It's money that was collected at the casino's parking garage during the 2024 summer concert season.
The support that they give to the community, the amount of people that utilize the facility, the amount of people whose lives are touched in a positive way because of the incredible efforts from the YMCA, we felt that it would just be a natural partnership.
We are restricted in the number of people that we can serve, so we're having to even turn children away in our early education program and our after-school program because the facility is just small, outdated, inefficient, difficult to maintain.
Dickerson says they will be announcing plans for the Y later this week.
Coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, Hamas says the release of hostages planned for Saturday will be delayed until further notice because they claim Israel has broken the ceasefire agreement.
And Vice President J.D. Vance delivers a keynote speech at Paris's International AI Action Summit. We'll have those stories and more as we continue.
The best bulls in the world have come to town. For bull riders, 8 seconds can make them a champion. Or nothing. It's bull time. Banger. Get your tickets now at pbr.com/tickets or Ticketmaster.
Darling's Auto Group is growing. Van Sickle Kia on Hogan Road in Bangor is now part of the Darling's family of dealerships. Whether you're shopping for an all-wheel drive, gas, EV, hybrid, or plug-in hybrid, Darling's Kia has a full lineup to choose from. With zero-down programs available on award-winning Kias and a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Visit us today. You'll do better at Darling's.
Dragon Slayer Arcade now has 2 locations inside the Bangor Mall.
Dragon Slayer has birthday party packages starting at just $50, which provides you with a designated area for you and your friends, which includes pizza and drinks. Dragon Slayer is all about birthday parties and would love for you to spend your next birthday with us. Give Dragon Slayer a call today to schedule your next birthday party. 860-462-1843.
R&K Variety is more than just a convenience store. With delicious homemade food made fresh daily, we offer hearty meals that don't break the bank. Whether it be our delicious chicken pot pie, one of our many savory soups, or a pizza, you can't go wrong at R&K Variety. Looking for a drink after a long workday? R&K Variety is an agency liquor store with an impressive selection. R&K Variety, more than just a convenience store. We're your neighbor, chef, barista, and friend. Stop by today.
Starting May 1st, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles will begin issuing the new Pine Tree license plate. If you have a Chickadee plate, it will be replaced when you renew after May 1st at no additional charge. If you have a Chickadee plate number you want to keep, you can reserve it today online by searching Reserve My Plate and paying a one-time $25 fee. With your help, we can provide prompt and quality service to all Mainers. Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Secretary of State.
The best bulls in the world have come to town. For bull riders, 8 seconds can make them a champion or nothing. It's bull time. Banger! Get your tickets now at pbr.com/tickets or Ticketmaster. There's one number you need to know. It's called Joe.
Welcome back. A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is in jeopardy. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered additional troops to report to the Gaza Strip as Hamas threatens to call off a scheduled hostage release. Fox's Greg Palcott looks at whether the peace deal can be saved.
A tense Mideast region tonight as a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas hangs in the balance. The last hostage release fresh in minds. Gaunt figures who were held captive under terrible conditions. Hamas threatening not to release the next group of captives, claiming Israel is reneging on the deal. After more than a 4-hour meeting of his security cabinet, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said he welcomed President Trump's tough demand for the release of hostages Saturday or else, saying more troops are being deployed around Gaza, but being careful not to say how many hostages needed to be freed this coming weekend.
If Hamas does not return our hostages by Saturday noon, the ceasefire will end and the IDF will resume combat until Hamas is decisively defeated.
Underscoring the danger the captives are in, word from the IDF that 86-year-old Shlomo Mansour, thought taken from a kibbutz on October 7, 2023, is in fact dead. Others did survive, though, including 24-year-old Romi Gonen. She was released last week, but suffered from a dangerous arm injury and months of malnutrition. Her sister Yarden told us she is coming back, but doesn't think there is a minute to waste to save those still being held by Hamas.
I wish that everyone would be released together one day. We don't need to stress it more.
And just to continue the high-stakes finger-pointing, Hamas saying in a statement tonight it remains committed to the ceasefire deal and it holds Israel responsible for any, quote, complications or delays. In Tel Aviv, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Vice President J.D. Vance criticized excessive artificial intelligence regulation while meeting with European officials who designed some of the first overarching restrictions for AI. The VP will deliver President Trump's foreign policy agenda to a global audience throughout the week amid questions here at home over whether the president believes his second-in-command is ready for the White House. Fox's Mike Emanuel has the story.
The United States of America is the leader in AI, and our administration plans to keep it that way.
On his first overseas trip as vice president, J.D. Vance warned European leaders against overregulation of artificial intelligence.
The Trump administration is troubled by reports that some foreign governments are considering tightening the screws on U.S. tech companies with international footprints. Now, America cannot and will not accept that.
At a critical stage when the world is watching to see if the United States or China will lead on AI, Vance told European leaders not to collaborate with Beijing.
But also remind our international friends here today that partnering with such regimes, it never pays off in the long term. From CCTV to 5G equipment, we're all familiar with cheap tech in the marketplace that's been heavily subsidized and exported by authoritarian regimes.
Experts note while the United States is seen as the leader on AI, China is not far behind.
There is a race going on between the U.S. and China on AI, and President Trump has directed his administration to achieve American AI dominance, just like we won the space race.
One tech executive warns there is potential for danger if AI is misused by our adversaries.
When you think about the kind of offensive potential that these things can have, you're thinking about offloading potentially entire cyber attacks to these systems.
Being in Paris also provided the opportunity for Vance to meet face-to-face with French President Emmanuel Macron. The vice president also held a bilateral meeting with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Back in the U.S., Vance has been vocal about judges he sees as controlling President Trump's legitimate power at a time when courts have temporarily blocked Trump administration actions. Vance has argued that presidents can and should ignore court orders that infringe on executive powers. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Top Trump administration officials continue the president's cost-cutting quest in Europe, where they're looking for ways to spend less on the war in Ukraine. Fox's Alex Hogan has more from London.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth kicked off his first overseas trip as head of the Pentagon, arriving in Germany on Tuesday. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Vice President J.D. Vance, and other high-ranking officials are also there, focusing on the war in Ukraine and pushing allies to contribute more to the fight.
The European continent deserves to be free from any aggression, but it ought be those in the neighborhood investing the most.
That's in line with President Trump's pledge to spend less money supporting Ukraine. On Tuesday, he wrote in part, quote, "The U.S. has spent billions of dollars globally with little to show." The focus on cost-cutting comes just one day ahead of a high-stakes summit where Ukraine's president is expected to plead for more weapons, ammo, and funding to fight the Russians.
It is important not to live by rumors. It is important to focus on the practical work of the team of Ukraine and the team of the United States of America on a common vision.
President Trump says his main goal is ending the fighting and claims both sides are inching closer to peace talks. But Moscow says they have yet to receive an offer to restart negotiations. And 3 years into the war, their missiles are still hitting civilian targets in Ukraine, prompting some suggestions that Vladimir Putin might be losing domestic support.
War is about making the other side's political system break. And dictatorships look like they're very strong, and then it turns out they're very brittle.
President Trump says he's also sending Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to Ukraine to discuss trading rare earth minerals for continued military support. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
President Trump hosted the King of Jordan at the White House on Tuesday. The two men talked about President Trump's takeover plan for Gaza and his insistence that neighbors like Jordan take in refugees. Jordan's King Abdullah posted on X this afternoon that he still opposes displacing Palestinians from Gaza, but called President Trump a man of peace. Fox's Caroline Shively reports.
Are you confident you can get the king on board with your plan for the Palestinian people?
President Trump welcomed Jordan's King Abdullah to the White House on Tuesday. In their first meeting since the president declared he wanted to make Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East.
We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually.
Mr. Trump wants the U.S. to take control of rebuilding the war-torn strip of land and said the 2 million Palestinians living there have to leave during reconstruction and perhaps permanently.
They're going to be living safely. They're not going to be killed, murdered, and having to leave every 10 years.
Jordan and Egypt had repeatedly said they wouldn't accept Palestinian refugees. Then on Tuesday, King Abdullah said Jordan can quickly take in 2,000 sick children. But he stressed Arab countries are still working on a long-term plan for the region.
I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody.
On Monday, President Trump said he would consider withholding billions in aid to Jordan and Egypt to pressure them into a deal, but backed off on Tuesday.
But I don't have to threaten that. I think we're above that.
On Capitol Hill, Democrats had concerns.
It's just plain out ethnic cleansing and genocide.
Some Israelis are also skeptical.
Trump can say whatever he wants. It doesn't really have an effect until it's a concrete plan.
President Trump says if Hamas does not release Israeli hostages from Gaza by Saturday, all bets are off. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Jody Hersey was in Herman to highlight an eccentric class being offered at the high school.
And in sports, Maine hockey pulled out 2 big wins this past weekend. We'll be right back.
You can't miss. Let's go! TV's most addictive game show. Let's go! The Floor is all new Wednesdays on Fox.
Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover-Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Browse our inventory online or in person. Whether it's a car, truck, or SUV, we can put you in the vehicle that is right for you. Sales, service, and parts. Rowell's Garage. Doing business the right way every day.
With winter upon us, you'll want to feel safe on the road. So take action right now by heading to your Toyota all-wheel drive headquarters for our Washington's Birthday Sales Event, where you could get 4.99 for 60 on an adventure-seeking all-wheel drive RAV4 with a ready-to-impress interior. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance. Hurry in and save on a vehicle from the longest-lasting brand, Toyota. See your New England Toyota dealer for all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, everybody. I know it's easy to forget things, but we don't want you to miss this new deal from US Cellular. Get the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus on us and stay a step ahead with Galaxy AI.
Ooh, I can save enough to buy a gift for my understanding wife.
Sorry, I'm late. Ooh, that's a great deal. I have a facial. This was fun.
Oh, come on. You have flowers?
Get the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus with Galaxy AI on us. US Cellular, built for us.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
The turmoil in Washington continues as DOGE slashes contract with the Department of Education and with major cuts for other agencies planned as well. Fox's Mike Emanuel has the story.
Outraged Democrats going after DOGE. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency continues to cut costs across multiple federal government agencies.
It's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential.
On Monday, DOGE announced it terminated nearly $1 billion worth of contracts at the Education Department and is aiming for the Pentagon's budget next. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says it's about time.
We welcome DOGE to the Pentagon. There are waste, redundancies, and headcounts in headquarters that need to be addressed.
We've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions. Many billions of dollars. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find.
When you're making big change, it ruffles some feathers. But this is positive change, good change for the country.
But Democrats argue Musk's authority is over the top and are challenging the cuts in court.
Everyone knows there's waste in government and should be cut, but DOGE is using a meat axe.
Even though we've got these out of control, unelected billionaires trying to turn back the clock. We're not going back.
Federal workers are the backbone of this country, and a couple of billionaires don't get to decide whether or not you have a job tomorrow.
The first DOGE subcommittee hearing is taking place Wednesday on Capitol Hill, and fireworks are expected. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Growing concerns across the nation as egg prices continue to rise, and the cause of the price hike, bird flu, is also continuing to spread. The virus is now also impacting dairy cows and the people who care for them. Fox's Dan Springer has more.
The cost of eggs is still climbing across the nation. High prices not only impacting everyday consumers, but also hurting small businesses like diners and bakeries where eggs are a necessity.
The last month, they just increased $10 the same case. So it's been over $10,000 increase within a month.
A nationwide bird flu outbreak that began last year and spread to cattle is to blame. Now a new strain of avian flu is threatening to make things worse.
We now have a D1.1 variant in our dairies in Fallon. This has never been seen before in dairy cattle anywhere.
Over the weekend, a dairy worker in Nevada tested positive for the newer variant of the virus. The illness was considered mild, with the worker's main symptom being eye redness and irritation. CDC officials say the risk of infection for the general public remains low, but concern is growing about the continuing spread and how to prevent workers from getting sick. Prior to this weekend, this strain of bird flu had only infected people who worked with poultry.
PPE, we want to make sure all our dairy workers have all that equipment that they need.
The continuing spread is also worrying farmers outside the U.S., but the WHO says it's not getting the information it needs from U.S. health officials due to a freeze in NIH and CDC communications put in place by President Trump.
Communication is a challenge indeed. The traditional ways of contact have been cut.
So far in the U.S., this new strain has resulted in 2 severe human infections and 1 death. Dan Springer, Fox News.
Southern California is moving forward with recovery efforts after the catastrophic wildfires burned through much of Los Angeles County. Debris removal is happening at a steady pace, and many residents are hoping to start rebuilding in the near future. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has more on the story.
Instead of just looking to the past, I'm starting to look towards the future.
Recovery efforts continue in Southern California after the devastating wildfires last month. Phase 2 officially began Tuesday with debris removal in Altadena and the Palisades.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is leading the next phase of debris removal with an unwavering commitment of safety, speed, and efficiency.
Governor Gavin Newsom says this is the fastest large-scale debris removal operation in California's history, and precautions are in place to monitor hazardous materials.
We have our own California EPA that is supplementing a lot of that work, including the mobile air monitoring that we're doing as it relates to benzene and arsenic and lead.
He also spoke about rebuilding plans, highlighting how new structures need to be, quote, climate resilient.
It is possible to rebuild, and rebuild better. Rebuild more strategically, rebuild with redundancies.
But now Los Angeles County residents are bracing for possible flooding due to heavy rains expected later this week. Concrete barriers, sandbags, and other control measures are in place.
And we have hundreds and hundreds of people pre-positioned, rescue teams as well, all across the state.
The Bureau of Sanitation has activated its wet weather plan, putting trucks, generators, and other equipment at the ready.
The Los Angeles wildfires burned through over 40,000 acres and killed more than 24 people. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
All right, well, that's certainly a story we'll continue to monitor. There's a lot of recovery to be done there.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Well, our full 5-day is coming up. Stay with us.
Expect cold temperatures once again tonight. We will be in the negatives, but we do have warmer temperatures on the way, bringing some moderate snow into Thursday and Sunday. And throughout the rest of the week, we'll have below average temperatures. How much snow are we going to get Thursday? The answers coming right up.
When Northern Shores Cleaning wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Northern Shores Cleaning provides outstanding residential and commercial cleaning services to eastern and central Maine. Northern Shores Cleaning also provides off-site laundry services as well as property management.
Sun up to sundown. There's no rest until harvest. Together, we're unstoppable. Together, we're united. United Ag and Turf, your local John Deere dealer.
When Patriot Waste Disposal wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Patriot Waste Disposal provides dumpster rental services to eastern and central Maine. Whether you're looking to do a little spring cleaning or are tackling a commercial project, Patriot Waste Disposal has you covered.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the Twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the Twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
Don't get cold feet this winter. Stay warm and dry with high-performance footwear from Comfort Shoes and More. With an extensive selection of winter boots rated from 0 to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll find comfort in knowing your feet will be warm in any weather. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear with grippers built right into the sole, with boots in stock up to 6E and size 17 for men and women. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
This is next level.
Create a next level dish.
We're going to smoke those 2 floors above us.
All new season of Next Level Chef, February 13th on Fox.
Thank you very much. We can see out there for highs today in the low 30s here in Bangor. Same for Bar Harbor and Rockland. All of us right around 30 to 31 degrees for our highs today. Did see Lewiston get up to 34 degrees, so lots of areas in the southwestern portion of the state in those low to mid 30s. It was cooler up north, Holton and Presque Isle in those low to mid 20s. We saw Clayton Lake in the upper teens for today. Going into tonight, we're going to have decreasing clouds out there after we had a few snow flurries today, and we're going to see temperatures dropping into the negatives once again. Expect to be right around 6 degrees below zero. We do see the model showing us right around 4 degrees, so pretty close with that, but we will see colder temperatures up north. Caribou most likely going to be more than 10 degrees below zero out there, and we will see some temperatures by the coastline staying above zero, but still in the single digits. Machias right around 4 degrees and Deer Isle at 9. As we go into tomorrow, mostly sunny skies is what we can expect. The model showing upper teens here, but don't be surprised if we get into those low 20s for tomorrow with the help of a little bit of sunshine. We'll see that down by the coast as well. Temperatures in the southwestern portion of the state could reach those mid 20s with the sunshine for tomorrow, but up north, not going to help too much. We are still going to see those temperatures hanging out right in those upper single digits to possibly the low teens. Average highs this time of year right around 30 degrees. We'll be below that for tomorrow, but above it for Thursday with temperatures above freezing as well. A little bit of a chance for a wintry mix in the afternoon, but most of the precipitation will be snow. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, temperatures look to be below average. Looks like for your weekend, mid to upper 20s with colder temperatures on the way to start off the work week next week. Monday and the Tuesday, only seeing those mid to upper teens for highs out there. Winds for tomorrow are going to be very nice to us. We're going to see some pretty calm conditions out there. 7 to 9 mile per hour gusts here for Bangor into Bar Harbor and all across the state. We are going to see calm conditions as that high pressure sits on top of us before we have low pressure making its way in Wednesday night into Thursday. But that's when we'll see the winds pick up again. So you can see 6 a.m. Thursday morning, 30 mile per hour gusts here in Bar Harbor, 20 here in Bangor. So yes, we will see some windy conditions as we head into Thursday. Out there for today, some nice snow showers just south of Presque Isle, and they did leak their way into Bangor a little bit as well. We only saw a few flurries out there, did not get much snow accumulation. We will have some reports for you guys into tomorrow of what we saw just drop south of Presque Isle for today. Pretty nice snowfall for you guys. And but as we see, staying dry throughout the rest of the night with some skies clearing up. But once we get into Wednesday night, that's when the clouds will increase, and that's when we're going to see that snow making its way in late, right around 5 a.m. As we continue on, the whole state's going to be seeing that snow. But here in Bangor, here's that chance where we can see temperatures above freezing. A little bit of a wintry mix going to happen along the coast and into Bangor as well. As we clear out, more snow will go through the northern portion of the state into Thursday night. So here's that snowfall map. We do see 2 to 4 inches here for the Bangor region and coastal areas, 4 to 8 a little bit farther north, and 8 to 12 inches plus is what we can see in the northern portion of the state. For tonight, we're staying dry, low 6 degrees below zero, decreasing clouds out there with very light winds from the north. And tomorrow, we'll see those highs in the low 20s with mostly sunny skies, and the winds will stay light as well, right around 5 miles per hour. Take a look at our extended forecast. We do see that chance for a wintry mix Thursday, but most of the precipitation will be snow. Highs could reach right around 34 degrees. Valentine's Day, mostly sunny skies, highs in those low to mid 20s, and then we do see that next chance for snow going into Sunday. Beth?
Chase, thank you so much.
Sports is next with Tyler Cruz.
A new year and a new adventure with the perfect Chevy to take you anywhere. With pure power unleashed and future-forward technology. Because every mile matters, and every path leads to new possibilities. Get $3,250 total cash allowance on this Silverado. Plus, current Chevy owners get an additional $2,500 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
Valentine's Day is almost here, and at Quality Jewelers, we're going to help you make it one to remember. Any purchase made between now and Valentine's Day is going to come with a card, chocolates, and a stuffed animal. Also, for a limited time, qualified buyers will receive a pair of VS Lab Diamond studs, an incredible value. Shop exquisite styles of fine jewelry right in downtown Bangor with us here at Quality Jewelers. Quality Jewelers, locally owned and operated, Penobscot Plaza, Bangor.
AMHG Works LLC, American-made home goods, located at the Rennie's Plaza in Bangor. Come check us out. We're open 7 days a week, featuring artisans, crafters, and manufacturers from across the United States, where everything is meticulously designed with care and pride. We also have a wide selection of pet accessories and treats. Let us be your new favorite store. We look forward to seeing you.
Let your creativity run free at the Creative Arts Center, where we offer fun and affordable activities for all ages. Birthday parties, pottery wheel classes, painting lessons, or just for the fun of it. Get fired up for glazing projects as well as acrylics. We offer a wide selection of ceramic products for you to choose from, and we have thousands of pieces ready to paint. We are a Paragon kiln dealer and a Laguna Clay distributor. Stop by the Creative Arts Center today, located just off the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge in Brewer. The Creative Arts Center, where your only limitation is your imagination.
Fox's Animal Control faces the fiercest beast yet.
Thank God you guys are here.
Rob Gronkowski, I love you.
February 13th on Fox.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We'll start on the ice tonight as the 5th-ranked Maine men's hockey team picked up 2 big road wins this weekend over the 7th-ranked Providence Friars. The Black Bears beat the Friars in a shootout on Friday, then picked up an overtime win on Saturday night. It was the second time this season that Maine has won both games in a road series against a top 10 opponent, leaving with 4 points out of Providence. This time it was thanks to forward Taylor McCarr, who tallied 3 of Maine's 4 goals throughout the weekend, willing the Black Bears to victory.
It's remarkable what he's doing right now. It's the hottest stick in college hockey, honestly. He's going out there and just competing, so confident with the puck on his stick right now. He's using his feet, which is his biggest asset. I mean, he's an absolute unbelievable skater.
I just honestly think the work we're putting in as a line, as a team, and it's just consistency working on the plays, working on underhandling, you know, doing the things right, and obviously Nolan's been playing awesome, feeding me the pucks and stuff like that. But overall, I don't think there's any major key to success. It's just, you know, getting pucks to net and finding ways to do it.
Back in October, head coach Ben Barr said McCarr had a ton of potential, and it's him and his staff's job to make sure he exhausts that potential to its full. Well, McCarr has a career-high 13 goals this season, with 9 regular season games still remaining.
He's been pretty consistent all year. You know, the last couple weekends has been really clutch, obviously, but he's simplified his game, and he's got ability that, you know, we didn't teach him. You know, he's 6'4" and he can skate like the wind, and he's tough. Like, he shoot, like, so, you know, you add all those things together, and if he plays a simple game, it's very, very effective.
He actually has 7 goals in his last 5 games. The high school basketball playoffs are here, with prelims kicking off Tuesday night. We'll head to the Cross Insurance Center for the first of many playoff matchups there this month. John Bass hosting Washington Academy in this one. These two split the regular season meetings. We'll pick it up in the second quarter. Crusaders breaking the press as Julia Goodine feeds Sophia Ward for 2. Baps up 13. On the other end, it's Miranda Cheney backing down her defender. She pulls up and buries the mid-range jumper to cut into that lead. Second half now, Claire Gattani slices through the defense and lays it in with the left hand to put Baps up by 20. You gotta keep... Raiders fighting back as Cheney throws it cross court to Johanna Killen, buries the 3-pointer. Now watch this, Baps on the break. All 5 players get a touch on the ball. Gattani eventually finds Haley Dearborn, who lays it in. Baps advances to the next round with a 56-38 win. Moving on and staying in Class B, the Herman Hawks in action, looking to get past Belfast. Winner gets Erskine Academy. First quarter, good ball movement from the Hawks. Cassidy LaBelle gets it to Madeline Muth. Outside to Lila Ryan. She nails the three. Lions with it now. Danica Gray bounce pass inside to Julie Dars. Nice drop step from the senior. She gets it to go with the left. Second quarter, off the rebound, Becca Balmas has it. She goes coast to coast, and she gets it to go with the left hand. Here come the Lions again. This one back and forth to start. The freshman, Juliana Sprague, connects on a long two from the corner, but the Hawks get it done at home. Madeline Tracy, the long three. She swishes it. Hawks win 51-43. Up the road now and into Class C, 8-seed Red Devils hosting the 9th seed Bucksport Golden Bucks. Winner takes Penobscot Valley. First quarter, Devils up. Mackenzie Graham gets inside. Quick trigger on the mid-range. She nails it. Graham again has it. She's going to swing it over to the freshman Annie Allen. Her catch-and-shoot triple is money. Hot start for Central. Devils again. Maddie Frost hands off to Mary Allen. Jab step. She pulls the three and she hits it. End of the quarter. Heads up defense here from Bucksport's Jetta Shook. Rips it, takes it away, and takes it all the way down the other way for two. But don't go anywhere. Mary Allen is going to come right back the other way right here, and she nails a jumper right before the end of the quarter. Central wins 63-31. All right, here are some other scores from around the area. Calais takes down George Stevens in the Class C girls prelim. Dexter advances to the quarterfinals with a win over Fort Fairfield. Machias takes down Sumner. And then in Class D in overtime, Jonesport Beals takes down 7-seed Katahdin 61-57. NBA now, high school basketball prelims all wrapped up for Tuesday, and we'll talk some Celtics for a second. It was a tough January for the C's, but they've now won 6 out of their last 7, capping off an impressive road trip with a win over Miami on Monday. Once again, it was the Celtics leader, Jason Tatum, paving the way for Boston. Tatum posted his second 40-point game of the season over the weekend, followed it up with 33 on Monday night in their 103-85 win over the Heat. He'll be a starter for the East All-Stars this upcoming weekend. It's his 5th consecutive All-Star appearance, and right now he's catching fire heading into the break. Here were his thoughts after the win.
Just trying to stay aggressive. Hopefully I can put 2 really good halves together. But you know, we're playing well right now. Everybody's contributing. 2 big road wins this trip, so it's a great road trip for us.
All the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Conquer the cold and tackle winter roads in a new truck or SUV from Quirk Chevrolet in Bangor. Lease 24 Chevy Silverado 1500 LT for $429 per month with only $1592 due at signing. The 2025 Trax is an economical SUV that delivers. Lease for just $396 per month. In the market for a pre-owned vehicle? With over 400 used vehicles to choose from, Quirk Motor City has your next certified car, truck, or SUV. Together, let's drive at Quirk Chevy in Bangor, Portland, and Rockland.
When I would visit my mother at the nursing home, there were really bad sores on her back, but nobody would tell me what was going on. Why not?
If an incident has occurred at a nursing home that's brought up cause for concern, call the twos right now.
The attorneys at Lowry and Associates helped me get answers. They held the nursing home accountable for what happened to my mother.
If you suspect nursing home abuse or neglect, we're your go-to lawyers.
Save thousands on your new garage doors during the double rebate event at PDQ Door. Choose from several beautiful Clopay garage doors and get up to a $250 online rebate, and PDQ Door will instantly double it to save you $500. Buy 4 garage doors and get up to $1,000 in rebates, and PDQ Door will instantly double it to save you $2,000. Find a door you adore during our double rebate event for a limited time only.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Come stop by Triple S Tack Shop, 315 Hamden Road, Carmel, for quality clothing and equestrian gear.
Start your day with Good Morning Maine. Weekday mornings starting at 6 on Fox 22.
With Valentine's Day right around the corner, nutrition experts say whether you're single and ready to mingle or in a serious relationship, it's still important to show your health some love. Fox's Gary Baumgarten takes a closer look at how to have a healthier Valentine's Day this year.
From candy canes around Christmas to jelly beans and Easter eggs and boxes of chocolate for Valentine's Day, holidays and seasonal treats can go hand in hand.
Much of our culture is really kind of focused around food as part of celebrations.
While balance and moderation are key, a number of nutritional experts advise centering holidays around more than just food.
Maybe we focus a little bit more on Valentine's Day around making more memories than making more calories.
Citing how certain items can add sugar and saturated fats into our diets.
If you're going out for Valentine's Day, let's just say you get a steak and it's going to have some saturated fat, and then you're going to have maybe a cocktail, which is going to have some added sugars in it, and then you have some candy.
According to federal guidelines, saturated fats and added sugar should both make up no more than 10% of our daily calories.
On a 2,000 calorie diet, that's 200 calories from saturated fat and 200 calories from added sugars.
But about 80% of Americans aren't meeting those guidelines.
The common American diet is usually 12 to 15% of saturated fat and added sugars.
Eating greater amounts of saturated fats and added sugar can lead to increased medical risks down the line.
The consequences for saturated fat, it has a significant contribution for heart disease, and added sugars also adding to calorie intakes, which then contribute to the development of obesity and chronic diseases.
Researchers say some foods may contain more of these ingredients than you realize. Checking nutrition labels can offer clarity. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
This Valentine's Day, utility companies are warning people of the potential dangers of gifting your loved ones balloons. Helium-filled foil balloons are a very popular gift on the day of love, but they may cause more stress than happiness. First Energy Corps says they could cause power outages if a stray balloon hits a power line. Foil balloons can cause these outages because of the metallic coating coming in contact with the flowing electricity. According to First Energy Corps, in the last year, foil balloons have been to blame for at least 109 power outages across parts of the East Coast. The energy company suggests people puncture and deflate metallic balloons once they are no longer useful.
Or maybe just get your loved ones extra chocolate, who knows. Well, Google Maps has made changes to what it displays over the body of water between the U.S. and Mexico. Users in the U.S. will now see Gulf of America as the body of water spanning from Florida to Mexico, but the change is not being made universal. Google says anyone in Mexico on the Maps app will see it as the Gulf of Mexico, while users around the world will see both names. The change follows President Trump's proclamation to rename the body of water as the Gulf of America. Google says it made the change to adhere to its practice of complying with government names. The company also says when names vary by country, the official local name will be visible.
Today, the College of the Atlantic held its annual Day of Giving, a 24-hour celebration and fundraising event. Our Alex Schley tells us how the money raised will help hundreds of students.
Tuesday marked the 13th annual Day of Giving at the College of the Atlantic.
It's our big fundraiser day of the year in which we come together as a community here on campus, here on Mount Desert Island, and we connect to our alumni and friends across the globe, and we raise money.
As part of the Day of Giving, school officials host a 24-hour challenge, kicking off at midnight with a celebration on the South Lawn. Student, alumni, and faculty will be circling in and out all day, warming up by the fire and enjoying a variety of games from hockey to cornhole. This year, the goal is to raise $100,000. And if they hit their mark, 6 donors have teamed up and pledged to donate an additional $150,000.
The funds go to students. So about 85% of our students receive financial aid. We also have a really robust work-study program. So our funding goes to help support students in their education.
The money raised on the Day of Giving makes it possible for students like senior Mustafa Korzum to attend the College of the Atlantic.
I'm an international student. I'm from Syria, and I got the opportunity to be a Davis Scholar, to come here on a full scholarship and pursue my education here.
Korzum says his education at COA has opened a world of opportunities.
Didn't really know what to do, and then I applied to COA and I got it. At the time, we were having a war, so going back home is not really an option.
After graduation, Korzum hopes to pursue a career in medicine. For more information on the College of the Atlantic or to donate, go to our website, foxbangor.com. In Bar Harbor, I'm Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, finally, tonight in school, there are required classes students must take, like math and science, and then there are electives for them to choose from, like art and theater. As Jody Hersey tells us, one local high school has kids lining up to join a particular class that is music to their ears.
The sunny Caribbean seems like a stark contrast from snowy Maine this time of year, but not for the students at Herman High School. These students are all part of the school's Steel Pans Drum Band, a class that's run by teacher John Coleman.
It's really easy to pick up. You don't have to have any musical experience whatsoever. And a lot of kids who have never played an instrument will come in and just have instant success with it.
Steel pan music originated in the Caribbean islands of Trinidad and Tobago. The music is catchy and infectious. It's a sound high school junior Fletcher Oxley can't get out of his head.
Well, freshman year, during orientation, we saw them playing. And my mom teaches here. And years ago, I saw them playing. So I knew I was going to take it. And then freshman year, I just, fell in love with it and enjoyed it a lot.
Mr. Coleman says just under 150 students, or a quarter of those enrolled at Herman High, participate in his class. It is freshman Claire Tardif's favorite part of her school day.
I think more schools should come up with PANS classes and stuff, because it's the only school that I've heard that has it so far. And Mr. Coleman's a great teacher because he's very funny and energetic and just makes us fast learners too, because he makes it easier.
A teacher whose class students say is helping them hit all the right notes. In Herman, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Just really great stuff. They look like they're having so much fun.
How
She's
could you
right.
not?
That music is infectious. I love the sound of it.
It's transformative. I mean, it almost makes you feel warmer.
I know it. Feel a tropical paradise.
A little tropical.
Yeah.
I need a drink with an umbrella in it, please, and thank you for the news desk.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so great. I mean, I was a band kid anyway, so I leapt at every opportunity to try a new instrument or what have you. And I did play some percussion, but we were never offered the steel drum opportunity. That would have been amazing.
No, that looks so much fun. I never cut it as a band kid, but kudos to those that can.
Hey, you cut it as a theater kid. Let's have a monologue.
Wow. I think we're good. I think we're out of time.
All right, we are out of time. Good night, and thank you for joining us.
We'll see you later.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It easily blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, soap, mildew, mold, and more. Forget harsh chemicals. With just plain water, Horsepower can clean bathroom tiles and tubs back to their original shine and luster. It's a game changer in the kitchen where it busts through caked on crud. Take it outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. How strong is horsepower? We took this distressed 100-year-old antique and restored it to like new with horsepower. Amazing! Get your Ruby Horsepower Scrubber today with bonus scouring sponge for just $39.99. Save on buying batteries. It's powered with the latest rechargeable technology. But wait, you'll also get this stainless steel brush to make range hoods and gas stoves look brand new again. Yours free. And we're not done. You'll get this Smart Flex cone brush that fits perfectly into corners, tiny crevices on toilets and tiles, or hard to reach shower door rails. Yours free. And to top it off, we'll include this microfiber cloth to clean delicate surfaces and polish cars sparkling clean. It's also free. Great news! Horsepower is now in stock and ready to ship, but due to high demand, there is a strict limit of 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-980-1921. That's 1-800-980-1921 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-980-1921 now.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Previously on Suits.
Why am I being